Okay, welcome back. This is part 2 of my Hangar episode number 11, trip from Reno down to San Jose in the Zibo Boeing 737 version 3.31T. Long process developing these things. We are about to get pushed back here. The push vehicle is making its way up to the nose of the aircraft right now, and it's pretty darn cold out there. Got snow blowing all over the tarmac here in Reno, but we're going to escape that pretty quickly.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
One thing I didn't do when I was setting up the FMC is rotate these dials, which kind of illuminate things a little better, particularly the dial here. All right, she's going to give us the announcement in a minute or so, and then we'll get the engine started. Been running into quite an interesting issue regarding starting engines in this aircraft, and it has nothing to do with the aircraft. It turned out that within XPlane, if you look within XPlane and I'm looking for the failures window, I think it's probably not here. I think you have to go up in here and view somewhere in here, I forget where it is, but it's the failures window. And if you've flown XPlane for a certain period of time, there's a little checkbox in the failures window that says if you've flown 10,000 hours, XPlane will impose...
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
It'll impose systemic failure to your aircraft, and that's exactly what it did to me.
And you may start engines.
For the last couple of days. All right, let's go up here, and we've got our packs off, which is the important thing. I'm going to go ahead and rotate engine number 2 to the ground position. We've also got our APU bleed on. That's another requirement of starting up. And so you'll see the evidence of starting on the big internal N2 fan. I'm not sure that's a correct description of it, an N2 fan, but the N2 indicates the rotations per speed and percentage of that big turbofan. So once that reaches 25, you can then introduce fuel to the engine itself, and now you can start engine number 1. Come back down here to keep an eye on that. What was happening to me was that I would start engine number 2, that was fine, then engine number 1 would get to 18-20% and stop. And we went through all sorts of conniptions with that. The bottom line is I couldn't operate the aircraft. Excuse me, I'm a little hoarse in my throat this morning. All right. There's 18, 19, 20, so we're good. Airplane is starting as it's supposed to. There's 25. And one other piece of evidence is that these switches are supposed to return to the auto position once the engine is up and running. It never did that. So it was a real kerfuffle, and I spent hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what in the world was going on, wrote notes to all kinds of people, and finally stumbled upon this failures issue. But no failures today. We can turn the packs on now. We can go ahead now and turn on the probes, the pitot tubes outside, and make sure those are warmed up. We can now shift over from APU generation to engine power generation, and we can turn the APU off. And as we do that, we can turn off the APU bleed. The engine bleed is already on by default. And you can have both of them on, but you don't want to do anything beyond a slow taxi with both of these switches on, or you'll blow out the APU lead system. You'll blow out the air conditioning. Okay, we've got our lights set. We can, she's gone away, I believe. Let's just check that. Nope, she's still pushing us. He is. Okay, settling in here. Probably sliding around a bit. Indeed, we are. Let's see, are the park brakes on? They are not. All right, let's put them on. All right, I think what we'll do is we'll tell Better Pushback to let us go. Goodness gracious. It's all right. Whether he's still pushing us or not.
Operation complete.
Okay.
Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Golly, that was exciting.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Watch out, truck. I'm going to come back in here where it's warm. Look at that direction we're going in. All right, I just want to see. Yeah, okay. We're heading down here to 16 right. So we can just go out this way and down this runway, taxiway to the runway. Interesting, huh? All right, so she's going to give us the whistle in a minute here. There we go. I'm going to turn off those traffic rings, which are supposed to be off by default. I'm surprised they were on. And I'm going to rotate this guy up here a little bit so we can see our whole route. And what else? We've got everything set up here. I'm going to put the brakes, the auto brakes, on RTO, and I'm going to give ourselves
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have fun up there.
We will have fun up there. Now that she's gone, I'm going to go ahead and turn on a taxi light. And we'll see if we can get ourselves down to the end of runway 16. So I'll see you there. Okay, we're down here at the end of runway 16. Take a look down below. Oops. Let's try that one. We turn the transponder onto TARA. Come up here, we can turn on the landing lights, runway turn off lights, and then we can rotate the engine switches to continuous spark mode. We'll leave the anti-collision on for the time being because we're still on the ground. Continuous spark mode allows us to restart the engines automatically if there's a flame out on takeoff. Everything else is pretty cool up here. We've got our flaps set to 5, and we've got 306 on both sides here, 28,000 cruise altitude, 164 heading. For our takeoff, we've got 146 for our nominal rotation speed. We've got VNAV and LNAV on, and looks like we're ready to roll. So let's give ourselves a little bit of power and move on out. exactly it went on.
On runway 16, right.
All right, we want to advance the throttles up to 50. And hit the toga button. I've got that warning many times. I'm not sure exactly what triggers that. Takeoff config. And if you spotted anything that I missed,
80 knots.
let me know, because I can't ever figure out why it does that. All right, so we're looking for the 146 mark, and that's that magenta box you see, or pointer on the speed tape.
D1. Rotate.
And there we go.
Positive brake.
Bring the gear up. Now bring up one notch flaps.
400.
And go ahead and implement AutoPilot. Whoops. Let's not do that, folks. I think I know what that is. I have to make an adjustment in my iPad settings. Switch over these switches, turn off the taxi lights, runway turn off, and now that we're off the ground, we can turn off the anti-collision light. Yeah, what I've got to do there is I have in setting this up last night, this is a complete new installation of this aircraft, and I'm watching the speed tape and pulling up flaps as we go along here. So there we are, passing 215, and now we can go up to no flaps at all. What's going on there, and I just have to do this once we're fully airborne, is go into the iPad and change the preference from doing anything with the throttle knocks the AP out to not doing that. What I'm used to doing is being able to pull the throttle back and so there we go. There's 149. We should be able to just allow the FMC to control the speed through the auto throttle. But with this setting, it doesn't seem to work. So I'm going to go in here into the settings, hardware config, throttle noise lock, park brake remove, AT engage lock throttle is on. And then I'm going to go back home and save that. And then let's check that out and see how that works. See, now I just pulled the throttle all the way back to 0, but it doesn't have any effect on the performance of the aircraft. We've now reached 10,000. We can go turn off our landing lights, like so. Still getting a little bit of rain up here. And we've got our FMC now up to 276 as we start our climb. There's Reno. Nice ski area up there. Turn on the wipers. That should clear away as soon as we get above these clouds. All right, turn off the auto brakes and take a look around. And I don't see anything. If you do, let me know. Got everything set fine here. Oh, we can turn on the position strobe. I forgot to do that. My bad. Check one, Steve. Oh boy. Lots of weather out there. Interesting effects on the windows. I've never seen that before. All right, so we are off on our way to San Jose. And you can see our route over here on the first officer's map. Just zoom in on that a little bit. If I can get my zoom button to work. There's the complete route. Gets kind of scrunched up there at the end. So we're going to head on down here past Darby and then Stubble and go through our shaving routine and end up at begins with a K. I can't remember the name of that waypoint, but we will be there in a while. And now that we're passing 18,000, I see we've got an indication here to reset that. So we can do it on this side.
Altimeter setting.
Or maybe you can't do it on that side. All right, do it on this side. There we go. Okay. So we're all set. I will fade away here and fade back in when we get a little closer to San Jose and things start getting interesting as we approach and land this thing. See you soon. Okay, now as we approach Clyde, there's a couple of things I'll do. One, we'll take a look at the FMC, again on the approach reference page. And we've still got a 40 degree, 140 knot flap speed. So I'll go ahead and double tap that and enter that into the FMC. It indicates drag required because our airspeed is just a little bit above the FMC speed, so we can do that by implementing the speed brakes. That's arming them, and now they're up one notch. As you can see there. And the other thing I'll do over here is I'll go ahead and arm the approach system. That's not really turning anything on, actually. What it's doing is arming the system so that when the locator and the glide slope are active, they will take control of the aircraft. Right now, it's still under control of the FMC, guiding us toward our waypoint of Clyde at this point. And we will shortly be making that turn. It's a little foggy today, a little hazy down here at San Jose, doesn't it? But you can see on the PFD here the indication of ILS. Now, as we start to acquire both the locator and the ILS, you will see this little white type here disappear, and it'll just say LOC or something to that effect. The same thing is true with glide slope. And there you go. We've got VOR LOC. So now we are under control, lateral control of the locator. and it indicates single channel. You also notice that this button went out. When both buttons are out, then we want to come over here and turn on the second CMD button, which is our second radio control and receiver of the ILS system. So in order to do an auto landing, so-called, you do need to have both radios tuned to that channel, which in this case is 110 something or other. I forget what it was. 110.09. There you go. Okay, so our speed is dropping. Again, we've got an FMC speed of 230. Because we're 250 now, I can go ahead and implement some flaps. And you'll see that FMC speed drop accordingly. And then we can bring the speed brakes back in and arm them for landing. So now we're on our approach course, which is 308. The approach course is actually 306. We've got a couple of waypoints to go.
1,000 to go.
And we're getting an indication of glide slope on both NDs here, both PFDs, if you will. This one is set to display that a little closer. It doesn't show the route the same way that this display does. Both work the same way. We're down around 33 and approaching our 2,700 target altitude. So the next thing we're looking for here, let's just drop down a little bit so we can see that. Go ahead and drop flaps 10. FMC speed drops down to 170. And we now have both glide slope and locator, so we'll turn on radio number 2. I'm not sure radio number 2 is the right term. If you know, let me know in the comments. And if you know anything else, let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions or good suggestions, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, just slam on that thumbs up. Let me know you liked it. I'll do more. So we're now under glide slope. We're approaching our runway. We've got our flaps down 10. And I can see the approaching lights of the runway. We're perhaps a little far. We've got maybe 6.9 miles. So we can start to get our gear ready. And go ahead and drop that early. All right. And our flap speed for landing is 140. So I'm going to go ahead and dial that in here, but then I'm going to switch to manual speed. Take the auto throttle off. And do that by hand. Bring another set of flaps down. Get our speed down into the 150 range. And we've got a land 3, is that? Yeah, land 3 indication. And it looks like something funky is going on here.
Thousand feet, stabilized, Mr. Birch, altitude set.
sure what's going on here, folks. This is not standard operating procedure.
Approaching 30 right.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, let's see if we can get it on the ground, even if it's the wrong runway.
500. 400. 300.
Think rate.
Approaching minimums. 200.
Glide slow. Glide slow.
Minimums.
Glide
100.
slow. Glide slow. Glide slow.
50, 40, 30, 20. 10. 10.
5,000 feet remaining. 4,000 remaining.
80 knots.
Well, that was exciting. Not exactly a perfect auto land, I would say. But we're on the ground in one piece, and maybe that's something to be said for that. We put the park brake on here. Just want to see what this note is. Speed brake, do not arm. Okay. I'm disarming that. That's the speed brakes we're on. And let's bring the flaps up. And let's take a look up here and turn our landing lights off. Runway turn-off lights never did get turned on. We can turn on the taxi light now, and we can fire up the APU. So we've got some power when we get to the terminal. We can put the position strobe back down to steady, put the anti-collision light on, and the last thing we can do is turn off the transponder to TA. And then taxi on in. Now we're supposed to be, I think, on gate number 12. So park brake off and we'll taxi on over here. And I'll see you on gate 12. Right about there. Take the lights off this poor guy. Tell people they can get out of their seats. Oops. We've got APU power on. We can turn that on, turn these guys off. And go ahead and, whoops, not sure what the heck happened with my view there. It's the view, I guess the view is based on where you're located. So what I'm after here is to open that door. Oops, you can't open the door while the engine's still on. Okay, so let's set that view. And then let's go inside and turn the engines off by shutting off the fuel to them. Like so, and then we come over here and open the door this way. think. Yeah, they're shutting down. Let's try that again. Nope, don't seem to want to open the door. Maybe they have to be all the way off. All right, let's try something else here. Not sure what. It's always seemed to work in the past. Logo light is off. Position steady can be off. Anti-collision can be off. There's no beacon light. Let's try it again. There we go. Yeah, now the engines are stopped, so the door will open. And we can then go back outside here and open up the cargo so we can get the cargo out. And that should do it, folks. This is the Zibo 737 version 3.31T. And I'm not sure if everything is quite right in this airplane yet. It has a couple of funky qualities to it. The behavior of it while flying, straight and steady, and then all of a sudden the wings start tipping to the left and start banking left and right, left and right, left and right. And then on final approach into San Jose, you saw what happened there, where all of a sudden the airplane wanted to head for the hills. And then it didn't, and then it did, and finally I had to just kill the AutoPilot, fly it myself. Unfortunately, it was too far to head for our ILS 30L, but we made it onto the neighboring runway, and there wasn't anybody there. So got it on the ground in one piece. Everybody's happy. We're at the gate. So we'll call it a complete flight, if not a perfect one. Thanks for joining me. This is Steve. This is episode 11 of my Hangar. We'll see what happens in episode 12 soon. I'm sure it'll be interesting, if not calamitous. Thanks for joining. See you soon.